Money, once a symbol of value and trust, has undergone a dramatic transformation, leaving many questioning its worth today. In this video, we'll talk about the history of money, examining how it has evolved, factors contributing to its perceived decline in value, and the forces that have shaped our financial landscape, and what they mean for the future of currency. The strength of currency. The strength of a nation's currency is deeply connected to the overall health of its economy. When an economy is strong, its currency tends to be strong as well, which means that it can buy more goods and services both domestically and internationally. The American economy has long been viewed as one of the strongest in the world, with the US dollar often serving as a global standard for trade. However, a pivotal moment in this economic landscape occurred on August 15, 1971, when President Nixon announced that the United States would no longer allow the dollar to be exchanged for gold. This decision meant that the dollar would no longer be backed by a physical commodity, fundamentally changing how currencies were valued. This shift to a fiat currency system, where the value of money is not tied to a physical asset, but rather to the trust and confidence of the people who use it, had far-reaching consequences. It allowed the U.S. government greater flexibility in managing the economy, such as adjusting interest rates and controlling inflation. However, it also introduced new challenges, including the risk of inflation and currency fluctuations. The effects of this decision are still felt today, as it laid the groundwork for the modern financial system and influenced how countries manage their currencies and economies in an increasingly interconnected world. A day like any other. On that fateful day in 1971, life seemed normal for most people. They woke up, went to work, and carried out their daily routines without a hint of the significant changes happening behind the scenes. This was the day when the United States officially abandoned the gold standard, a system that had tied the value of the dollar to a fixed amount of gold. This shift allowed for more flexibility in monetary policy, but also set the stage for future economic challenges. As the years rolled on, the world continued to evolve, and by 2008, the consequences of that decision began to unfold dramatically. In 2008, the global economy faced a severe financial crisis that shook the foundations of many countries. Major banks and financial institutions crumbled under the weight of bad investments and risky loans, leading to widespread panic. Governments around the world scrambled to respond, implementing bailouts and stimulus packages to stabilize their economies. Although the recovery came faster than many had anticipated, a lingering sense of unease settled over the public. People began to question the stability of the financial systems and whether the changes made decades earlier had contributed to the crisis. This period marked a turning point as individuals and communities started to rethink their relationship with money, savings, and the very institutions they had once trusted. The Bretton Woods Conference. The Bretton Woods system, established in 1944, laid the foundation for the modern global financial system. During this conference, representatives from 44 countries came together to create a new monetary framework to stabilize the world economy in the aftermath of World War II. The US dollar was chosen as the world's reserve currency, with its value pegged to gold at a fixed price of $35 per ounce. This system allowed other countries to exchange their currencies for US dollars, which were backed by the US government's gold reserves. This arrangement provided stability and confidence in international trade and finance, as countries could rely on the dollar's value being maintained. The Bretton Woods system remained in place until 1971, when President Richard Nixon ended the direct convertibility of the US dollar to gold, leading to the current system of floating exchange rates and fiat currencies. The shift away from gold. In the 1960s, the US government faced budget deficits because of various spending programs, which made other countries worried about the value of the US dollar. They feared that the US was printing too much money without having enough gold to back it up. This concern led many nations to start exchanging their US dollars for gold, which caused a significant outflow of gold from the United States. To address this problem and prevent further loss of gold reserves, President Nixon made a crucial decision to suspend the gold convertibility system in 1971. This meant that people could no longer exchange their dollars for gold, effectively ending the link between currency and a physical asset. The suspension of the gold standard marked a significant shift in the global financial system, leading to the establishment of what we now know as fiat currency. Unlike gold-backed money, fiat currency is not tied to any physical commodity. Instead, its value is based on trust and the stability of the government that issues it. This change allowed governments to have more flexibility in managing their economies, as they could print money as needed without the constraints of gold reserves. While this system has its advantages, it also means that the value of money can fluctuate based on economic conditions and government policies, making it essential for countries to maintain economic stability and public confidence in their currencies. What is fiat currency? Fiat currency is money that is not backed by a physical commodity like gold. Instead, its value comes from the trust and confidence people have in the government that issues it. This shift allowed governments to borrow and spend freely, leading to a situation where they could run perpetual deficits without the discipline that gold provided. Since 1971, the U.S. has never run a budget surplus, relying instead on continuous borrowing. The Ponzi Scheme analogy. The current U.S. monetary system has been likened to a Ponzi scheme, where new investors' money is used to pay returns to earlier investors, creating an illusion of profitability. Similarly, the U.S. government borrows money to pay off previous debts, leading to a cycle of increasing debt. This system can only continue as long as new loans keep coming in. However, like a Ponzi scheme, it is unsustainable in the long run. The government's debt continues to grow, and eventually, it may become impossible to find new lenders willing to finance the debt. When this happens, the system could collapse, causing significant economic turmoil. While the comparison to a Ponzi scheme is controversial, it highlights the risks associated with the current debt-based monetary system and the need for reforms to ensure long-term stability and sustainability. The impact on everyday life. When the government decides to print more money, it can lead to a decrease in the value of the dollar, which is what we call inflation. This means that the same amount of money buys you less than it used to. For example, many people can recall a time when a chocolate bar cost only a quarter, or when filling up a car with gas was just $5. However, today, those same items are much more expensive. This increase in prices shows how the purchasing power of the dollar has shrunk over time. Essentially, what you could buy with $1 a few decades ago now requires much more money, making everyday life more costly for everyone. Inflation impacts everyone, but it hits certain groups particularly hard, especially those on fixed incomes, like retirees, or people whose wages haven't increased in line with rising prices. For them, the money they receive each month doesn't stretch as far as it used to, making it challenging to cover basic needs like food, housing, and healthcare. As prices continue to rise, these individuals may find themselves struggling to maintain their standard of living. Overall, inflation is a complex issue that affects all of us, reminding us of the importance of managing money wisely and understanding how economic changes can influence our daily lives. The hidden tax of inflation. Inflation can be thought of as a hidden tax that affects everyone, even if they don't realize it. When prices for everyday goods and services rise, the money people have saved or earned doesn't stretch as far as it used to. For example, if someone has $100, but the price of groceries and gas increases, they might find that they can buy less with that same amount of money. While some government officials argue that little inflation is good for the economy because it encourages spending and investment, many families are feeling the pinch in their wallets. They notice that their paychecks don't go as far as they used to, and this can lead to stress and uncertainty about how to cover basic expenses. In recent years, many people have reported feeling that their purchasing power is declining, even when official inflation numbers seem low. This disconnect can be frustrating, as it feels like the cost of living is rising much faster than what is reflected in statistics. Essentials like food, housing, and healthcare have seen significant price increases, making it difficult for families to keep up. As a result, many are forced to make tough choices, such as cutting back on spending, delaying purchases, or even dipping into savings. This situation highlights the real-life impact of inflation, which can create financial strain and anxiety for many households trying to make ends meet. In conclusion, the journey of money from a gold-backed system to a fiat currency has had profound implications for our economy and our lives. The decisions made in the past have led us to a point where many people feel uncertain about the future of their finances. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this.